So next, I'm happy to welcome David Fairbrothers, CEO.
There's more of us, it's Fairbrothers.
Fairbrothers, more than one. David Fairbrothers, CEO, co-founder of Dorsata. This is not your first rodeo. How many companies have you started? Or been
a few, but we'll cover that.
All right, I'll let you go.
We'll cover that.
Thanks, David.
Evan told me on the way in that I was supposed to inspire, not scare you guys from being an entrepreneur, but at the same time be truthful about entrenched interests in how tough it is to operate in a regulated sector. So I'm going to do my best job. As Jeff says, my name is David Fairbrothers, and I started and run a company called Dorsata, and we work in healthcare. For me, I got into startups for completely the wrong reasons back in college. I actually started my first company before I left. I thought in 2006 that Facebook making all this money and YouTube making all this money, gosh, startups are the life for me, right? You know, make a lot of money and be your own boss. Statistically, making a lot of money in startups is actually completely false. And actually, you are, in fact, never your own boss. Only in title are you your boss, because the definition of entrepreneurship is doing something, doing things with resources that are out of your own control, which is completely counter to being your own boss. But at any rate, I got into healthcare completely by accident. It wasn't any grand design. A couple companies needed my skill set after my first company. Did wonderfully at providing value prop to our users, but failed miserably as a business. We burned through some money in the process, and I learned some hard lessons. But that's okay, you know, that's how you learn. I built a product for a company that just happened to be looking at healthcare. We were doing care coordination for home care. And you know, coming from the outside, you figure something that's 20% of the GDP, you know, you think that's reasonably well coordinated and efficient, and you find out it's just completely not. It's about the worst coordinated industry I've ever seen personally. I built another product in healthcare analytics, so we were looking at patient outcomes and figuring out how can you actually bring information about the right treatments to the point of care so that physicians can make the right decisions. You'd think that would also have been well established in an industry like healthcare, and you find out that's not even remotely true either. So at that point, I kind of had this come to Jesus moment that said, look, there's got to be some opportunity here in this healthcare industry. At the time, I had designed and led engineering for a while, but didn't know how to code. So it took a year, learned how to code, built most of our first product at Dorsata myself. I don't code much anymore. My guys don't like it when I do. But at any rate, the thing about healthcare is it's tough, right? And we talk about why it's tough. And there's a few things that we as entrepreneurs have to think about in that industry. And we were actually quoting a bit of some statistics earlier. In healthcare, the verticals of our industry are so massive that it makes it clear why this is difficult, right? So you take digital ads, for example, right? So Google's search business, Facebook's display ad business, that's like a $170 billion a year market, digital ads. Diabetes care is $176 billion a year. That's just that disease state. Like heart failure is like $300 billion a year. So it's pretty massive how big these industries are. And the unfortunate thing for me and my team is we spend a lot of time in the market is we realize technology has changed so much in health, from bio compounds to med devices, but at the end of the day, how physicians are trained and how they actually make decisions hasn't really changed since before there was electricity, which is, in my mind, a big issue. And so for us, what we try to do at Dorsata is we try to help physicians make better decisions that are based both on what are established best practices, but also informed by that patient's specific information and data. And we think by doing that at the point of care, we'll be successful at solving some quality and cost problems. But the real eye-opening thing for me, as I've been battling it out in Dorsata, and there are ups and downs for sure, is at the end of the day, quality doesn't matter that much. And this is kind of a scary reality when you go around trying to sell healthcare providers. Is quality, of course, matters in terms of delivering good patient safety and good patient care. But the reality is that unless you are selling into something that is integral to how they get paid or how they get paid more, it's a brutal sales cycle. I mean, that's why you hear sales cycles to hospitals are like 12 to 18 months. Is most of the time, if you drill into it, it's some kind of patient engagement app, or it's some kind of healthy choice living app, or some kind of diet app, and they just don't care that much. And that's really hard for entrepreneurs to think about. And so we've had to kind of evolve our model where we're still focused on quality. At the end of the day, what we want to do is deliver better patient care. But what we figured out is how to position our product and what specific things that we do that are integral to how providers get paid. And so that leads to the main point here, which is, honestly, my experience is that a fail fast was the the normal operating procedure in this industry. There would be no new healthcare technologies, none. Because for us, we are such, pardon me, this is probably one of those editing moments. We are such piss ants as little startups in this space, in these massive entrenched multi-billion-dollar industry segments, and that it is so hard to break through that noise that you can get false negatives so quickly. I mean, so quickly, when, in reality, there's probably some stuff you can do. So I could go on for hours about this, but at any rate, we need people to innovate in this space, but don't get discouraged if your first pass into the market doesn't exactly work out as much as you thought. There's probably some aspect to your model that will work. You just have to kind of really get to know their business model and why it is that way and how you potentially could fit into that. So that's us. Is that good?
That's great.
Okay.